You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, April 20th show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I am your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts. We bring in each week the best of the best in studio to share their expert advice. And if you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to connect you with the guests that we have on the show or answer any questions that you might have. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Darin, DeHaan, and Carly Willis of DCD Property Group, the current market shift and pricing your home accordingly. Welcome back, you guys.
Thanks for having us back.
And a little bit about the two of them. With Darin and Carly's 17 years in the industry, clients trust their expertise and secure the right project for their needs. They pride themselves on using their own skills in advertising, budgeting, negotiating, planning, and sales to best serve their clients. Their goal is to become your personal real estate consultant for life.
Darin and Carly, super excited to have you guys. You guys are great friends of mine, so it's always nice to have good friends. All of our guests are friends, but you guys are especially friends here in studio. I was reading something this morning, and it sounds like there's some shifts in the market, and I would love, with your guys' experience, I'd love to get your feedback on these changes and shifts in the market and what you guys are seeing out there in the battlefield.
Yeah, I'd say it's good to see you, too.
Thanks, buddy.
Good friend of mine. Yeah, I'd say we've definitely seen a slight cooling in the market, mainly due to increase in inventory, including I've noticed a lot of stale listings hanging around that were priced too high, even when the market was at its peak, and have now, and even more so that since the market has shifted.
People just sitting in the past, like they missed the boat, and they're like, no, I'm just not going to change my price. This is what it is. But stuff's not moving. You better probably lower your price a little bit.
Yeah.
So Darin, we're still stuck on that.
What if we take it back a few months, Darin? What have you seen your buyers dealing with out there?
I actually think it's been great news for buyers. More supply, less demand. This tends to happen this time of year because sellers believe that waiting until springtime will, be their in their best interest. And I think that the days of throwing out inspections and other contingencies in the hopes of winning a property are nearly gone.
So, and that's so true, right? It's like in history, the springtime thing. Everybody's like, wait, but the market's changed. So, what about seeing the market beginning to balance out? I've heard some rumors of a balancing of the market. Do we think we maybe have a shift of the guard here from the seller to buyer world?
Yeah, well, I don't know if a full shift, but I believe that it's beginning to balance out. We've certainly found that buyers are beginning to have a better shot at finding their ideal home, as opposed to just hoping they get
home period.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But I've been excited that the buyers I've worked with will have been having a better shot at getting the property they have their heart set on, as opposed to just throwing something out at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's very disheartening for my buyers when we throw out 5-6 offers and just hoping one will be accepted.
Yeah,
it was a really crazy market to come out of what we came out of. But it's interesting when the market does shift a little, because that's what we've seen it do, shift a little.
Sure.
A lot of conversations start out there, and then you've got the media that tags in, because media does sell. We try not to sell fear here on the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, but the reality is fear does sell, and so you hear a lot of negative, fear-based news out there. And so even with a small shift, you hear people talk about, oh my gosh, we're going to have a bubble and this is it. The next crisis is coming. So how do you talk with your buyers and sellers when you hear that in the conversation?
Yeah, I'd say, it still comes up once in a while about, a bubble bursting and so forth, but it just hasn't been as big a concern lately. We're seeing a cooling of the market, certainly, but nothing like we saw, a decade ago. we're simply returning to a normal market. We're coming in for a soft landing, not a crash like before. The previous housing market was fueled by demand created by lenient mortgage standards, and as you're well aware, that nowadays they're much more strict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's a behind the scenes meaning when you're in the industry. I mean, we know that there's not a crash coming, and we haven't reached never going to see appreciation again. Nobody can predict what the market's going to do, but it's just interesting when you're not behind the scenes and seeing and been in the industry as long as we have. There's so much opportunity here, and when you look at employment, and I always say if you have a prediction of what you think employment's going to do, then you can predict the same for real estate, because real estate always follows employment. And so if you just take a look at our area and where we're at with all the employment opportunity, then you add in the interest rates and the cost of money continuing to be so low, it's really an exciting time to get out there.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
For sure.
That's an interesting thing, Tina, that you mentioned. I mean, it's quite the opposite now on our end. Just go inside there. You need experts. You need experts like me and Tina that know how to cross your T's and dot your I's, because they're not playing around now. You need to document everything, and a lot can go wrong. There's a lot of hoops and behind the scenes people don't see that we go through to ensure that things land successfully and close successfully, hence the reputation that we have. There's a lot of value to that when agents know that it's going to go flawlessly on the financing end. So
it's very nice to work with a really great lender.
Yeah.
Super important.
Well, thanks again. Another shout out for the team, because, definitely couldn't do it with everybody behind the scenes of our business.
Yeah.
And so shout out to Lisa and Mark that really coordinate and make sure that everything runs smoothly on the closing process.
So, Carly, we need to hear from you here. You need to join us. So,
do you?
Yes, we do. So, why don't we talk a little bit about what changes that you've seen from your sellers in this market at this point?
We've already seen quite a big uptick in the acceptance of contingent offers. They were pretty well unheard of recently, and now sellers are becoming just more flexible when considering offers. I think because there's less competition for homes, at least for the last few months. Who knows what the spring is going to hold. But for that, sellers are just more readily considering contingencies and offers, as well as considering buyers' closing costs as well, whether they want to cover those or not. A lot more buyers are asking because they know that they can. They have a bit more leverage. Yeah,
and I think the confusing thing for buyers, and I see this on from the lending side, that you really don't. It is really neighborhood specific, and also it's price specific, meaning how the agent's pricing the home, because you can have a really hot neighborhood, but if the agent is pricing it too high, then they're not getting any offers, and people are wondering why it's been sitting on the market. But then the house that's relatively close in the same neighborhood has multiple offers. So it's a little bit more difficult in this market, because you're not really sure how to strategize unless you're working with an expert that knows. And so, talk with your agent. Your agent's going to let you know if the seller is going to be, if the home is priced to where it's going to make sense that the seller is going to pay cost. If not, maybe you increase the price to get them to do that, right?
Right. Well, and it's not always the agent's fault. I have to throw this out there, because we did mention this earlier. A lot of the sellers are just hanging on to the past market. Yeah. And they think that they can get 20, 40, 60, 80,000 more for their home than they actually can.
But wouldn't you agree, Carly, as a real estate agent, is letting the seller know the reality? Yeah,
but whether they listen to you or not, that's the difference. You can be an excellent agent, but whether the sellers actually listen, that's totally different.
Yeah. Well, Carly, let's talk a little bit about price. So what are you seeing with the actual price, and where's the market at?
Sure. Well, as we know, price appreciation has been pretty well nuts the last few years. But we're seeing that slow to more normal levels, which is really nice. There's still some sellers that are hanging on to the heyday, and their homes are pretty easy to spot because they're still sitting on the market and all their neighbors' homes have sold.
Yeah.
The market doesn't lie, you know.
Nope.
You got to your home is
really
worth
doesn't.
what it doesn't, right? Your home's worth what it sells for.
Exactly.
At that exact moment.
Exactly.
Forget about the past. Don't worry about the future. It's now. Right?
And the thing that's strange is because numbers are numbers. I mean, you can see exactly what properties are selling for right in your area to know exactly what the value is going to be. So
statistics don't lie.
No, they
That's
don't.
right. The numbers don't lie. Carly, let's talk about DCD Property Group, your guys' awesome team that you have. What do you guys do to help prospective buyers and sellers?
Well, to start, we do offer pretty extensive buyer and seller guides that are updated every quarter. So they give tips and tactics for buyers to get the best deal, and for sellers, tips on how to prepare your home for sale. It touches on the importance of decluttering, staging, use of color, and pricing. It talks about the pitfalls of overpricing, which is really important to pay attention to. But small things make a big difference. There's links on our website to the spring version of these now at dcdpropertygroup.com.
Wonderful. And I know you guys provide a lot, a lot of value. What are some of the other things that you're doing for your buyers and sellers?
Well, one thing that makes us unique is we are a team, so we're almost always available. At least one of us is available at all times. So we do that. And then another thing that we really pride ourselves on is the seller exposure for seller clients, And we promote our listings with individual websites and landing pages, in addition to our own company website, multiple social media outlets, including my base guide for Joint Base Lewis McChord. Go military, woohoo.
All right.
As well as some less techie advertising like direct mail, Craigslist, and others. We're also incorporating more video, as we mentioned outside there, because statistics, again, don't lie. Yeah. And video is just, it's really booming on social media, and it far exceeds all the simple pictures, posts, and links just to web pages.
Yeah, and video really connects emotionally, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Selling anything, but especially when you're selling a home, is to be able to emotionally connect with people.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Well, if I may, I have to say too, you guys are old school in the way that like.
Well, thanks, Keelan. Yeah.
Well, no, in this good way, and I have it at heart too. I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and get things done, and I know Darin especially and Carly as well. You guys get it done. Like, I mean, are on the phone every day, are relentless at getting your way.
Yes.
And that's what you got to. That part I don't think will ever die. You got to pick up the phone. You got to make sure that you're talking to everybody and really getting that voice to voice. Like, hey, this is what's happening. This is how we're going to do it. That's that aggressive touch that I think really gives you an edge in the market. So touche to you guys.
Thank you.
On that one. I think it's awesome.
Well, thanks you guys so much for coming back in studio, and look forward to having you back again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Coming up next on The Money are the Power of Accurate Books. We have Stephen Cohen of Take It On Today right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.